Welcome to chapter 24, the Hiphil verb pattern. In this chapter, we're going to add to our knowledge of the Hebrew verb stems. We've already learned the kal forms and the piel forms. And now we're going to learn the Hiphil pattern. You should have a copy of the X chart in front of you, and I've got a copy here on the screen as well. And I want to focus on the Hiphil stem. Here on the left you see the uses of the Hiphil stem. And they're summarized there at the bottom: causative, declarative, factative, and simple action. Causative, the Hiphil stem can be used to indicate that an action is caused to happen. A good example of this is the verb achal, to eat. In the kal, it means to eat, whereas in the Hiphil, it means to cause to eat, which we would translate as to feed. And in your textbook on, let's see, page 269, there's a fairly long list of verbs that have a causative, you can see this here, had a causative meaning in the Hiphil. To come, it can mean cause to come or bring, to know, cause to know, and so on. And so these are examples of the causative use of the Hiphil. Second use of the Hiphil is declarative. It is something someone declares or pronounces something or someone to be in a certain condition. For example, the verb rasha in the kal means to be guilty. In the Hiphil, it means to declare or pronounce guilty. And another key theological word is the verb tzadak. In the kal means to be righteous, whereas in the Hiphil, it means to declare righteous. So, causative, declarative. The third use of the Hiphil is factative. We've already seen this use with the piel, where the kal indicates a state of being. With some verbs, when they're put in the Hiphil, it's the causation of that state of being. So the verb gadal in the kal means to be great, whereas in the Hiphil it means to make great. And we call that factative. And finally, sometimes there's no causative, declarative, or factative significance. Simply, the action is simple. So, shalach in the Hiphil means to throw down or throw away. Now, let's take a look at the forms of the Hiphil. Coming back to the X chart, here in the middle column, you see the characteristics of the perfect tense. First key characteristic of the Hiphil in the perfect tense is a he preformative. The letter he is added to the verb stem. So look at the perfect tense forms here. In each case, you see the Hiphil begins with the he hirik, hiktalti, hiktalta, hiktalt, hiktil, hiktila, hiktalnu, hiktaltem, hiktalten, hiktilu. Perfect has a he preformative. And then under the second radical of the verb stem, the vowel is usually a hirik yod, a tsere, or a petach. Typically hirik yod, that's the most common, tsere and petach less common. So take a look here. In the perfect, we get the petach in the first and second person, singular and plural, and the hirik yod in the third person forms. The imperfect endings that are used in the Hiphil are standard, nothing new there. It's exactly what we would expect with the cal or the PA. All right, and that brings us to all the rest of the tense forms. The key characteristics of the Hiphil: imperfects, infinitive, participles, imperatives, gessives, cohortatives, etc., are as what follows. First of all, whatever the performative letter is, whether it's an aleph, a yod, or a tav, a hey, or a main, the vowel under the performative will be a patach. So take, for example, the Hiphil imperfect forms. You can see that in every case, the preformative vowel is a patach. And under the second radical, the vowel will be a hirik yod or a tsere. So here you see the majority, as I indicated earlier, of times, the hirik yod is the stem vowel, but in a couple cases, in the 2FP and the 3FP, we get the tsere. The Hiphil forms, again, patach under the performative, which in this case is, in the imperative, a hey, and then your stem vowels, tsere, hirik yod, and tsere. So, when we're looking at the verb and we see a hey performative with a hirik yod under the second radical, a tsere or a patach, that's a classic sign of a Hiphil perfect. A patach under the performative and a hirik yod or tsere under the second radical, classic sign of the Hiphil all the rest. Now, coming back to your textbook, I'm going to go back up to page 268 and just point out some things about the vocabulary. As you can see, some words are listed with only Hiphil, indicating that either there is no cal form, or it occurs primarily in the Hiphil. And the textbook has some comments about the verb chazak that you need to be aware of. Specifically, when chazak means to grasp, it's usually followed by the preposition beit, which cannot be translated into English. So, for example, hu hechazik ba'bered, we don't translate he grasps on the garment, we just translate he grasped the garment. Or hu hechazik bo, he grasped it. And then the textbook notes that when chazak means to strengthen, it usually is followed by et, indicating which is the sign of the definite direct object. So in the first sentence, hu hechazik et ha'am, he strengthened the nation. He didn't grasp them, he strengthened them. Hu hechazik oto, he strengthened it. Now there's an important point to note here. Sometimes the sense of a Hebrew verb is altered by prepositions that follow it. So when we do Hebrew word studies, it's not a correct methodology to only look at the word itself. We need to pay attention to what prepositions follow, or what other words like et follow, and note if the verb plus a preposition combination indicates a specific sense that without the preposition it would not indicate. And chazak is by no means the only preposition where this is true. There are multiple other Hebrew verbs where this is the case. All right, I believe that covers the essential information you need to understand the Hiphil, the forms for the perfect, the imperfect, the participle, which again, as I would point out, the participle forms for in the Hiphil, the PAL. In fact, everything except the cal and the foul start with the main performative. So that the main performative is not a key characteristic to help you distinguish PAL from Hiphil, from Hiphil, and so on, but it is the key to distinguish that we're looking at a participle. Again, the patak under the performative, the here at the oath, or an E-class vowel under the second radical indicates that we have a Hiphil. All right, that covers the material that you need to know to do the exercises for lesson 24.